Hey guys, welcome to Spotted Hyena. My name's Steve and today we're going to be continuing our Docker series by looking at installing Docker and some basic Docker commands. Alright, so I've got a CentOS VM that I'm going to be installing Docker on. However, you can install it on multiple different operating systems. I've put a link down in the description so you can click on that and it will take you straight to the Docker installation guides. They're really comprehensive and they'll take you through everything as well as this video tutorial. So the first thing that we need to do is update our CentOS version so it's on the latest updates. Because I've just installed this, we'll set this running and we'll be back in a few minutes. Alright, so now our server's fully up to date. We can go ahead and just double check that Docker is definitely not installed, and that's easy enough. You just type Docker, press enter, and you can see that that's not installed on this server. If Docker is installed on your server and it's not working correctly or something like that, then go to the link in the description to the Docker website and it will give you a command to basically remove Docker. It's basically yum remove Docker, and that should get rid of all of the Docker components. So now we need to install all of the required packages for Docker. So to do this, we just do sudo yum install -y yum-utils device -mapper -persistent -data, and also LVM2, which should be installed, but we'll just run that to double check. And there you go, everything is already installed, so that's good. So now we need to install the stable repository for Docker. And to do that, we do sudo yum-config-manager --add -repo, and then we just add the Docker repo, which I'm just going to copy in and press enter. So there we go, that's added the Docker repo now onto here. An optional configuration task that you can do as well is to enable the edge and test repositories. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to use the edge or the test repositories. So I'm going to skip that step. And then we just need to install Docker. So to do that, we just do sudo yum install -y docker-ce. So this is the community edition. You can install the enterprise edition as well, and that would be slightly different installation steps. Press enter and wait for that to install. Alright, so Docker's now installed and we just need to start it up, and we'll probably set it up so that it starts on system boot as well. So we just need to type sudo systemctl start Docker, and that should start the Docker service, and then sudo systemctl enable Docker. And there we go. So now whenever the server reboots, Docker will automatically start up, so you don't have to run the start service every single time. Now that we've got Docker up and running, it's pretty good to just do a couple of tests. So if this is a new install, you can do docker ps, which, as you can see now, there's no containers listed in there. So that shows to us that we've got Docker installed, Docker's working, it's up and running, and there's no containers running. And what we can do is to make sure that Docker is fully working and that containers are going to work, we can type docker run hello-world, which is just a default hello world for Docker, that will just run a few tests to make sure that Docker is up and running and working as expected. So if we press enter, it will pull the image down from Docker, and then you get the text here that says hello from Docker. This message says that your installation appears to be working. So we now know that Docker is working. All right, now that we've run the basic hello world test, we want to do something a bit more in depth that actually, we can get something tangible back, so we can actually look at a web page that we know is up and running. The first thing that we need to do is just allow ports through the firewall. So if we do sudo firewall -cmd space --zone equals public space --add -port equals 8080 /TCP permanent, and press enter. If I can spell right. Okay, so I've already enabled it. Now we'll do docker run and then -p. So this means this is the port translation. So a Docker container might use, for example, port 80, and then our server, we might already have a container using port 80. So what we can do is a translation. So we're basically saying on the host, we want this to run on 8080, and we do a colon, and then on the Docker image, it will run on port 80. And then we need to do tutum /hello-world and press enter. So it can't find the image on our Docker server, so what it's going to go and do is go up to the Docker hub and download a copy, which is what it's doing now. So it'll download this copy, and then once it's downloaded, we'll be up and running. And then once we have got that up and running, we just need to go into a browser. So I will just quickly swap us over to my browser, type in our IP address, :8080, and press enter. And there you can go. There you go. You can quite clearly see that this is now working. We've got the Tutum logo, hello world, and my host name is, and then that is the container ID. Now we've got our container ID, we'll just switch back to our PuTTY session. And you can see here, just down here, you can see the connection that we made. Obviously, this isn't too useful. Having one Docker image running or one Docker container running at any time is a bit of a pain. It makes it kind of useless. So if we just Control-C, that'll take us out of that Docker container. And then if we switch back to our browser and do a refresh, that should stop working now. And there you go. And then we will jump back to our PuTTY session. So obviously that's not very useful. And if we want to use this more in a more friendly manner, so that we can run multiple containers, then all we need to do is run exactly the same command, but before the -p, just do -d. -d basically means that it'll run in detached mode, so this will run the container in the background. So if I run this now, you'll see that gives us an ID, and if we press enter, we can still run more commands. So we can continue using our terminal without having to interrupt our container. And now if we type docker ps and press enter, you can see here that we've got our container ID. We've got what our Docker container name is, so the image name, what it's running, how long ago it was created. So here, if you keep seeing that it restarts, then there's probably an issue with the container. So in order to check that, you can do docker logs and then paste the container ID and press enter. And then if there's any logs, it'll list them there. So usually if there's any error messages or anything like that, if the container keeps on restarting, then you can just run that command and you'll be able to see why the container keeps on restarting. And then you can see down at the bottom here, you've got your port translations, so what ports it's going on to. And that's really all that we need to know for now. So as you can see, that's our container up and running. And if we switch back to our browser again and refresh the page, there we go, we're up and running. So let's say you had multiple applications to run. In this instance, you know, we've got this one container running with on port 8080. But let's say we needed to have another hello world but on a different port. So all you'd do is you'd run exactly the same command and you'd just change the port at the beginning from 8080 to 8081 and so on. And you'd just keep running that. And you could have as many of these running as your server can handle, basically. You can keep running more and more. Now, I don't want to keep this container running because it's just a hello world. It's not very useful to me. So I can just do docker kill and then paste in the container ID, which is available from our docker ps. And if we press enter, then that will kill our docker. And then we do docker ps, you'll see that that has now gone. There's a few other commands that we can do. So if we do docker images, you'll see all of the images that have been downloaded. So you can see we've got the hello world from Docker, and then we've got Tutum hello world, which is the one that displays the web page. And now we're not going to be using these anymore. So what I can do is docker RMI, and then I can just take the image ID and paste that in there, press enter, and that is still being used by a container. So if I do docker ps-l, that'll list any shutdown containers. So then I can do docker rm, click the ID, paste it in there. So there we go, we've got rid of all of our Docker containers. So now if I do docker images, we can see our images, and docker RMI, which will remove the image. Copy the image ID, paste, press enter, and there you go, that has now deleted. So if we do docker images, you can see that that docker image has now gone. So we'll get rid of this docker image as well. And we'll paste that in there. There we go. Docker ps, there's no running containers. Docker images, there's no running images. One of the things that is really, really useful about Docker is Docker Hub. So if you go to hub.docker.com, you can basically see here the Docker Hub, and if you click Explore in the top right, you can see all the different Docker images that are possible. So you can see you've got an Nginx Docker container, you've got MySQL, Postgres, Node, you've literally got everything. So for example, let's say you want to run a Plex media server. If you search for Plex on here, you can see there is Linux server Plex. The Linux server builds tend to be really stable, so I tend to use these. But if you just click on that, you can get all the information for this particular image. If you scroll down, it'll give you all of the commands that you can run against this image, which is really useful. It'll give you all of the parameters that are required, all the ports that are required, and you know, it'll take you through basically everything you need to set this up, which is absolutely brilliant. It makes life a hell of a lot easier, and you know, if you're not creating your own image, then, or if there's already an image existing of the program you want to run, then I would suggest that you use the image that's already created, because it's a lot easier, unless it doesn't do something in particular that you need it to do. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video has been useful for you and it's taught you some new things about Docker. If you've got any questions at all regarding this video or how to do things in Docker, then just post them below. And then if I've not filmed my next video then I'll include those in the next video. If I have, then I'll probably do an extra video with all of the questions and comments in the future that will then finalize this series. So thanks a lot for watching. Please, if you've enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel to get more videos like this, and thank you very much for watching. See you later.